Hello, friends. Welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the NIV, and we are in Deuteronomy, chapter 16. As a reminder, the book of Deuteronomy is in the Torah. It's one of the books of the Torah. So it does seem like a repeat information from Numbers and Leviticus, but I will say it is different mainly because they didn't have those books for a little while. So they kind of got lost in a shuffle. I mean, it's dysphoria for reasons they got not to the fault of the people living at the time. Those books got lost in the shuffle. And then they found them. I mean, and we'll get into that in the books of the Bible about where they found them in the temple. They just found them in, they were hidden in there so they wouldn't get destroyed. So these were what they could remember. Okay? So Passover, chapter 16. Observe the month of Abib, A-B-I-B, and celebrate the Passover of the Lord your God. Because in the month of Abib, he brought you out of Egypt by night. Sacrifice as Passover to the Lord your God an animal from your flock and herd at the place the Lord will choose as a dwelling for his name. Do not eat it with bread made from yeast, but for 7 days eat unleavened bread, the bread of affliction, because you left Egypt in haste, so that all the days of your life you may remember the time of your departure from Egypt. Let no yeast be found in your possession in all your land for 7 days. Do not let any of the meat you sacrifice on the evening of the first day remain until morning. You must not sacrifice the Passover in any town you must not sacrifice the Passover in any town the Lord your God gives you, except in the place he will choose as a dwelling place for his name. Okay, so it has to be sacrificed at the ark, essentially. There you must sacrifice the Passover in the evening when the sun goes down on the anniversary, or down at the time of day. So like at sunset, of your departure from Egypt. Roast it and eat it in the place the Lord your God will choose. Then in the morning return to your tents. For 6 days eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day hold an assembly to the Lord your God and do no work. It'll be April 12th this year is when Passover starts, if you wanted to keep track at home. Not quite there. Feast of Weeks. Count off 7 weeks from the time you begin to put the sickle to the standing grain. Then celebrate the Feast of Weeks to the Lord your God by giving freewill offering in proportion to the blessing the Lord your God has given you, and rejoice before the Lord your God at the place he will choose as the dwelling for his name, you, your sons and daughters, your men servants and maid servants, the Levites in your town, and the aliens, the fatherless and the widows living among you. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and follow carefully these decrees. The Feast of the Tabernacles. Celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days after you have gathered the produce of your threshing floor and your winepress. Be joyful at your feast, you and your sons and daughters, your men servants and maid servants, and the Levites, the aliens, and the fatherless, and the widows who live in your towns. For 7 days celebrate the feast of the Lord your God at the place the Lord will choose. For the Lord your God will bless you in all of your harvests and all of the work in your hands, and your joy will be complete. Okay? 3 times a year, all your men must appear before the Lord your God at the place he will choose, at the feast of the unleavened bread. the Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of the Tabernacle. No man should appear before the Lord empty-handed. Each must bring a gift in a proportion to the way the Lord your God has blessed you. Judges. Appoint judges and officials for each of your tribes in every town the Lord your God is giving you, and they shall judge the people fairly. Do not pervert justice or show partiality. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. Follow justice and justice alone, so that you may live and possess the land the Lord your God is giving you. Worshipping other gods. Do not set up any wooden Asherah poles. That is, do not plant any tree dedicated to Asherah. So it's not just an actual pole. Think of it as sort of like the maypole, not like an actual pole, but also a plant. Okay. Do not set up any wooden Asherah poles besides the altar you build to the Lord your God. Do not erect a sacred stone, for these the Lord your God hates. So, stone obelisks to people usually say Baal, but I always call it Baal, like Baal or Baal, and it is more like Baal than it is Baal. Baal is not really correct, and it does mean Lord in the the root language of the area. So it's not really much different than us doing that, but you'll start to find different names attached to it, because it's like the local deity of that town, not the same deity over and over again. Okay? Because he doesn't care. It's not really any no gods before him. It's really no gods sort of except him, especially at this point, because where we are in Deuteronomy, the Messiah hasn't been even, like, we don't even have David yet, let alone the Messiah. So, until the next video, friends.